Welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Today I want to talk about understanding your cost. As I said last week, I attended the American Trucking Association, and it was probably one of the largest turnouts they've had in years, and everybody was upbeat. Of course, there was a prevailing theme that there's no drivers, but everybody was upbeat, and many people said, I wish I had more trucks. I wish I could if I could get another 100 trucks, I could make more money, and the theme went on and on and on. But it was kind of interesting. As I was talking to some of the small to medium-sized carriers, I said, how do you track your cost? And some of them would say, well, we're making money, so we're getting good truck utilization. I said, that's not what I'm asking. How do you track your cost? How do you plan your expenses to your profits? And the point I'm trying to make is it doesn't make any difference if you're making any money now. What you want to make sure is that when the market changes, which the dynamics of our industry change, you're going to continue to make money. I've referred to this in my newsletters as profit performance management. But what I'm referring to is this. Every time you dispatch a truck, you need to know whether you made money or not. Every time you dispatch it in a specific lane for a specific customer, you should have a predetermined profit margin that you want to. And many of you don't know that. You assume, because you're making money, that every lane is profitable, but you don't. And the reason is you want to get the maximum utilization at the highest rate of return. And in order to do that, every time you dispatch a truck, that truck and that driver has to be a profit center. You need to be able to monitor their activity, their miles per gallon, your fuel consumption, and you also have to recognize and be able to determine whether that particular customer in certain specific lanes is a loss leader or a profit center for you. And the reason is very simple. When you can do that, you can go to a customer, instead of asking for a sweeping rate increase across the board, you can say, look, I've sent 35 shipments and we went to these areas, and this is the rate you paid me, this is the fuel surcharge you gave me, here's my cost, here's my operating loss. I keep hearing that, I've got these sophisticated software programs, and they'll do all of that stuff, and I integrate it into dispatch, and I pull up the reports, but I don't pull them up daily. I don't do this, I don't do that. I've talked to you about our costing in the past, our software program, not because I'm trying to sell it, but because it works. It's based on your own P&L, so you push a button, and within 5 seconds you get a response. It also has what-if capabilities. If you're an LTL carrier, it tracks stops, waits, picks, and the reason is very simple. When you're talking to a customer, when you have salespeople, or you're doing on a sales call, you want to be able to say to that customer, he'll say to you, I want 30 loads to go to Tampa, Florida tomorrow. You push a button, you can turn around and say, these are the rates I need and this is a fuel surcharge. You don't have to say, I'll get back to you, then give them a quote, or give them a quote on the spot not knowing whether you're going to make money or not, because you know what your operating costs are. And those are the types of tools that you need. Additionally, what I've noticed is many times owners or managers don't share and communicate with our operations department and their dispatchers the information necessary. When you're not fully staffed from a driver standpoint, I'm amazed how many people don't conduct exit interviews. They say, well, the driver just said I'm not coming back, and that was it. We called the driver once. I'm amazed that they don't contact the driver's wife. I'm amazed that they don't communicate continually positive things through the smartphones. One guy says, well, I use a smartphone, and I'm able to track them, and I do this and that. And I said, do you do this? No. Do you do this? No. Do you do this? No. Well, you have to realize that part of your planning, and part of your strategy, and part of your costing all revolves around the things that I'm talking about. People don't understand what the cost to replace a driver is. Depending on who you talk to, I think the American Trucking Association says it's $5,000 to $6,000 every time you replace a driver. That's not computed into your cost, but it should be. The training and the downtime and the time that truck is sitting up against the fence generating no revenue. When you have a prevailing theme that the drivers aren't getting home enough, and you keep recruiting drivers, and the recruiters are paid based on bringing the drivers in, and their compensation and bonuses aren't tied to retaining the drivers, what does that tell you? That's all part of your operating costs. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how you put it, what you put on the balance sheet. The bottom line is when those drivers turn over, it does impact your costs, and it's part of your operations. I'm amazed with brokers because we work a lot with freight brokers and logistics companies. They base everything on gross profit margins. But wouldn't it be nice if you pushed a button and within 5 seconds it can tell you the amount of money you can afford to pay the carrier, the amount of rate that you need to charge that customer to have a predetermined profit, and it's not a gut instinct? Think about that. As human beings, don't we make mistakes? And now that our business is rebounding from where it was before, don't you want to maximize your profits? And in order to do that, you need to drill down to your cost. Every time you dispatch a truck, you need to know whether you made money on that truck or not, on that lane or not, and that customer or not. You need to track your costs daily, have a recap at the end of the day, and be able to discuss it with your operations. And if you don't have that, you're not prepared. And if you're not prepared, even if you're making money, you're not maximizing your rate of return. It's very important that if you own a trucking company or a brokerage company or a logistics company, that business is your retirement account. And if you want to protect that retirement account, you better start drilling down to your costs. And then you'd be surprised what you accomplish. Until next time, thank you for attending the podcast.